One of the people in that photo is corrupt. Well, actually two, but in this case, it's not Clarence Thomas so much. Ginni Thomas deciding to make a play for Corrupt Thomas of the day. Here's what we found out in the last 24 hours. Conservative judicial activist Leonard Leo arranged for Ginni Thomas, wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, to be paid tens of thousands of dollars for consulting work just over a decade ago. And if that's not bad enough for you, he also made it explicit that he did not want her name to be on the paperwork. They tried to cover this up, and thankfully, as a result of the work of journalists at the Washington Post, we have the details, and here they are. Back in January of 2012, Leo instructed GOP pollster Kellyanne Conway, popping up in a fun little cameo, to bill a nonprofit group he advises and use that money to pay Ginni Thomas. The same year, the nonprofit, the Judicial Education Project, filed a brief to the Supreme Court in a landmark voting rights case. Don't worry, we'll be talking about that in just a minute. Leo is a key figure in a network of nonprofits that has worked to support the nominations of conservative judges. He told Conway that he wanted to, quote, give Ginni Thomas another $25K. So there was probably money before, but this is what we found. He emphasized that the paperwork should have, quote, no mention of Ginni, of course. Well, if it's of course, then you shouldn't have written it, buddy, but he did. And so Conway's firm, the polling company, did send the $25,000 bill. Per Leo's instructions, it listed the purpose as, quote, supplement for Constitution polling and opinion consulting, a label designed to make you fall asleep before you finish reading it so you don't realize what's actually going on. By the way, overall, they paid $80,000 to Thomas's firm between June 2011 and June 2012, with expectations of paying another $20,000. So that gets you to $100,000 in consulting work that she totally did. So why is this important? Well, just by the very nature of paying a Supreme Court justice's wife, it seems suspect. But specifically, in December 2012, the Judicial Education Project submitted an amicus brief in Shelby County versus Holder, a case challenging a landmark civil rights law aimed at protecting minority voters. The court struck down a formula in the Voting Rights Act that determined which states had to obtain federal clearance before changing their voting rules and procedures. Clarence Thomas was part of the 5-4 majority. Now, he, in theory, should have recused himself because federal law requires justices to recuse if their, quote, impartiality might reasonably be questioned. I feel like I'm questioning it in a way that is reasonable, but he didn't, which allowed them to strike it down. Now, the joke is potentially on Leonard Leo because I have a feeling Clarence Thomas would have struck that down in his sleep. I don't think he needed to be paid the $100,000 to do that. But in any event, he shouldn't have been voting on it, because there was a massive conflict of interest. It wasn't the first conflict of interest, there are many, but it is nice to see Ginni Thomas getting involved so directly in all of this. Brett, what do you think?
Hunter Biden is Joe Biden's family member and did coke off his own penis. I don't remember exactly what the details are of that, but the right wing is saying, there is corruption in the Bidens because this guy's family member did something inappropriate, something, a lot of money. Ginni Thomas, last time I checked, your wife is a member of your family, is getting not only essentially direct payments from a guy whose single mission in life is to create a system that pays for judges to give them handouts. And the entire right wing is like, nothing to see here. And in addition, this same group that's mad that the people on the left point out very obviously racist things, and the right's like, why you call everything racist? Hilariously, the cherry on the top of this dumb sundae is people like Hannity saying, you know what? Because you're pointing out what is very obviously giving this guy's wife and him money and vacations and all other kinds of handouts, just because I pointed that out, oh my God, I'm a racist. It's hilarious. It would be hilarious, I guess, if it wasn't so troubling. And the sad part is, apparently it's illegal to point out that there are people that are trying to take down the integrity of the institutions that we need to have faith in. And when we point it out, somehow we're the bad ones.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And we're being unfair, and we're specifically targeting Clarence Thomas, although people have pointed out great stuff involving Kavanaugh and Gorsuch as well as the more liberal justices too. And the only response from the right is generally, well, Sotomayor is bad too, to which I say, yeah, let's do something about that. But they don't want anything. That's what aboutism is for. It is not an attempt to make sure that two things are treated with the same level of seriousness, except insofar as that level of seriousness is not at all.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.